Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, what the heck is a Stroopwafel? Dragon's Milk Reserve Stroopwafel is an 11% bourbon barrel-aged stout from New Holland Brewing in Holland, Michigan. I'm going to break convention. Going to put the fun fact right up in the front for you guys today. A Stroopwafel is a wafer cookie made from 2 thin layers of baked dough joined by a caramel filling. Now, Stroopwafel Dragon's Milk is a bourbon barrel-aged stout with caramel, vanilla, cinnamon, and coffee beans. This isn't technically one of the numbered releases, like, Series 2020 number 2 or number 3, and that got me wondering, why is that? I'm not really sure if it's supposed to be because it's a pub-only release. I don't think it was something that was released before, but I don't know. So if you know, let us in on the secret in the comments down below. Now, this video is the second review in my Day of the Dragon reviews. The first one would be the number 2, the one with the dark chocolate and the marshmallow and the Scotch barrel aged, all that good stuff. And number 3 will be triple mash. I picked those all up on the same day for Day of the Dragon. You can find a link to the previous video either up here or down below in the description. And I'll have an upcoming review for triple mash. We'll put the link in the comments down below. So stay tuned for that. I'll put the thing in the comments afterwards, of course. So let's take a look at the label of this one. We'll get it into a glass, then we'll go through all the scientific sciences and specifics and XYZs and the ABCs and Pythagorean theorems and whatnot. So taking a look at the label here, like I mentioned in the last video, Dragon's Milk, they've changed their whole bottle, their label design, and New Holland in general has changed a lot of their stuff, but they've gone to the Dragon scale look. As of about maybe a year and a half ago, I think it was the banana coconut where they really changed over. This one says New Holland Brewing up at the top, and they all these different Dragon's Milk Reserve releases have a different color. This one is a dark blue, like almost a purple color, a lighter purple. And then again, that light purple stripe is repeated again. It says 11% ABV, has the dragon scales, has the dragon in white, and it says established in 1997. Dragon's Milk Reserve Stroopwafel, bourbon barrel-aged stout with caramel, vanilla, cinnamon, and coffee beans. That sounds absolutely delicious, but we'll try this out and I'll let you know for sure. Dragon's Milk Reserve, and we're looking on the back here. It says Dragon's Milk Reserve, again, Stroopwafel, bourbon barrel-aged stout with caramel, vanilla, cinnamon, and coffee beans. This special edition of Dragon's Milk Reserve is inspired by the classic Stroopwafel. Oh yeah, you guys know, the classic Stroopwafel. A delicious caramel cookie best enjoyed with a cup of coffee. Our brewers used rich caramel, vanilla, cinnamon, and freshly roasted coffee beans to bring that experience to our signature bourbon barrel-aged stout. Proust, which is cheers. And it says alcohol 11% by volume, dragonsmilk.com. Proudly brewed in Holland, Michigan, and the independent craft beer logo, along with the New Holland logo. This one was bottled on May 15th, 2020. This was bottled the day after the previous one, and I don't know when triple mash was, but when we do the triple mash video and you guys get to see, I'm sure we'll figure it out at that point. So I'm going to use Teku glass, my small Teku glass from Eastern Market Brewing and Ferndale Project. We're going to crack the cap on this one. As you can see from the overhead, we have the white dragon on the cap. Unmistakable Dragon's Milk cap here. And crack that. And I wish I could get close-ups every time I crack a bottle. It doesn't happen so much anymore, but you get that nice kind of mist and vapor coming off the top. Let's put a nose on the bottle here. It smells really very different from a lot of Dragon's Milk. At this point, I'm getting a really nice sweet aroma. I do smell a little bit of the vanilla, a little bit of the caramel vanilla kind of mixed in, and a little spicy note with some cinnamon, but I'm not picking up on any kind of coffee or any real kind of barrel character. So let's go ahead and pour this. And this is coming out a light brown and collecting in the glass, surprisingly, not that dark. That is really weird. There is a lot of little floaters in here. And yeah, interesting. They all kind of rose to the top. And that's a really interesting view. I don't think I've ever seen one of these Dragon's Milk, when you pour it, all the stuff, whoa, floating in there. The bottom is like really murky. And I hope you can see that from the overhead. It looks like these little islands floating in this dark sea. And that is I'm going to hope that's from the wafer, from the cookie. And again, if this was a pub release only, I could understand why it's probably like this. I'm trying not to spill this. Admittedly, this glass is kind of dirty from my side, so I see a lot of bubbles clinging to it. And let's put a nose on it here. I'm not picking up on quite the character that I was getting on the nose that I was getting out of the bottle. So let's go ahead and... I'm almost a little leery because of all this stuff floating in it, but, you know, I've drank worse things if this is anything other than a wafer. So let's go down the hatch. Cheers. That's really weird. That is really weird because I could feel like the bubbles and the effervescence on my tongue. So mouthfeel is a little bit lighter, like I mentioned with the previous Dragon's Milk, the Reserve 2 Scotch Barrel. The mouthfeel is a little bit lighter. I would like it to be a little bit heavier just right off the bat. But let me get, because that was so like close to the rim, I didn't really want to get a big drink. But let me get a little bit bigger drink, and then we'll start talking about the flavor characteristics here. I can just hear it bubbling. Feel it bubbling in my mouth. So really, right up front, a lot of cinnamon. That's really a nice kind of a flavor that rolls throughout from the beginning to the finish. I can still taste cinnamon in my mouth. But the cinnamon is in there, and it's also balanced by this really slight vanilla characteristic, a little bit of a caramel. I don't know if I'm really getting much of a coffee. Okay, so I get the caramel, I get the vanilla on the beginning, I get the cinnamon on the beginning, I get the cinnamon on the end, but I also get this little bit deeper, richer flavor, and I'm thinking that's like, it's this almost coffee astringency. So that's why I'm kind of saying coffee, because this astringency to it just makes me think that that's probably the coffee part of it coming through. I don't get any... See, that's really murky coming. I don't know if you could see that or not, but when I poured that last bit in, it really got murky, and the bubbles just really start going crazy when you really pour this in at first. Yeah, so let's get one more taste, and I'll kind of see if I can walk through it a little bit more. I get cinnamon throughout. But again, on the beginning, before the swallow, I get a lot of this kind of cinnamon, and then I get a vanilla flavor to it. I get a little bit of a caramel flavor to it. Swallow, and then I get the more cinnamon, but I also, like I said, I get this coffee kind of astringency. The one thing that I noticed on the first drink, on the last drink, the one thing that I'm not picking up that I almost always pick up on from Dragon's Milk is I'm not getting a big bourbon characteristic. Now, I think on the very tail end, now that I'm, you know, it's been a few seconds, maybe 30, 40 seconds since I took my drink, I'm getting a bit of an oaky barrel characteristic to it at this point, but in the actual taste itself, I'm not getting it, and I had to add in, as a little addendum to the last video, I had to add in the temperature. So this is a stout. Stouts, generally you want to drink between 50 and 55. I just want to see, just for curiosity, what the temperature reading is on this. And I have a feeling it's going to land between 50 and 55, maybe somewhere just slightly under 50. It was actually really starting to go pretty quick down, and now it's kind of leveled out. I'm not going to let this keep going because it's pretty much stagnated. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not, but it is 54.7 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty much on the upper end probably of where you want to try it, but so we're right definitely in the you know, within the guidelines of where you want to drink this. If you haven't checked out the review for the number 2 2020 series, you know, number 2 release, the Scotch Barrel, watch that video and watch this one. They're a little bit different. If I had to pick between the two, I would say this one hands down beats out the Scotch Barrel Aged one. As much as I want to love the Scotch Barrel Aged one, it's not, you know, it's just an average Dragon's Milk in my opinion. There's nothing, you know, inherently bad about it. It's not. I didn't think you know, there's some that I like a lot less, for sure. It just kind of it lands right in the middle. This one, though, I like a lot more because I'm getting the cinnamon. I like the cinnamon flavor a little bit more than I like the spiciness of the scotch and the smokiness of the marshmallow on that one. On this one, I like this because I'm getting the cinnamon. I'm getting that slight, you know, vanilla and caramel kind of flavor. I would like to get a little bit more caramel. I get a little bit more vanilla than caramel. I would like to get more of that caramel flavor, and I'm also getting that cinnamon just rolls throughout, so it's a really nice balance because you get the spiciness of the cinnamon, you get the sweetness, you get the spiciness. It's like a Stroopwafel cookie itself, except the cinnamon is what's sandwiching the whole thing. I'm not picking up a lot on coffee. I think that if there is anything that I would amp up in this beer, in this specific one, would be the coffee flavor, because it's in there, but it's really deep in there, and I think there's always this element of Dragon's Milk Reserve flavors where that flavor is really deep down in there. You really have to dig for it. And I like, as much as I like Dragon's Milk, I kind of like the fact that I'm not getting much of the barrel, because sometimes that's overwhelming with some of these beers. And with this one, it's in there, but it's not overwhelming. It's really subtle. It's really on the finish. It's really on the end. And I don't pick it up besides that. I would like this one to be a little bit thicker. Like I said, maybe have a little bit more caramel flavor. Maybe even tone down the cinnamon a little bit if you could bring the caramel flavor up a little bit more. I would like, again, I'd like the mouthfeel to be a little bit thicker, and I was definitely thrown off by the little chunks of, I'm assuming that's wafer that's in there. You know, that's just a guess. Hopefully that's what that was. But yeah, I would, if I had to pick, at least so far in the Day of the Dragon reviews that I've done, between the Reserve number 2 and Stroopwafel, I would pick Stroopwafel. If this is a pub-only release, that's a real shame, because I think this one shines a lot brighter than the release number 2. All right, friends, that has been Dragon's Milk Reserve Stroopwafel. If you would have asked me before this to pick between the two, I would have picked the other one first. I didn't know how well this one would do. So have you had this? Did you get a chance to make it to the Day of the Dragon release at New Holland? Let me know in the comments down below while you're down there. If you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell, because I'm here talking about beer twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sometimes I throw out those little beer briefs here and there to keep you on your toes. And you never know, you might miss your newest favorite if you're not subscribed and getting those notifications. So you want to do that and share this video with your friends. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries wherever they are, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching. Cheers.